Well, Brenda Tracy, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And I know that you spoke in front of the MSU Board of Trustees today.
I did.
And what was your main message to them?
I think the main point I wanted to get across was just how I've been harmed by some of the things that they've done. I think there's also things they haven't done, but mostly just the things that they had done. I mean, you have 3 minutes. You have to be selective about what you say.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And in your statement, you said you were hoping that the Board of Trustees would protect you, and you feel like they did not.
Yeah, I do feel like there should be some protection, obviously, but I think that if you're a board who says that you support survivors and you're victim-centered and those kinds of things, then I think what has happened to me is not congruent with who they say they are.
Would you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think just some of the allegations about, me colluding with other board members, things like mischaracterizations that the board was exonerated. I mean, that's a very strong word as far as the leak of my name went with the Jones Day report. There's a lot of infighting. I think we all know that there was investigations that came from, a letter that Trustee Scott had put out. So a lot of chaos, really, that should not have happened, and I shouldn't have gotten caught in the crossfire. I mean, I'm a person who reported someone for sexual harassment. All these other things should not have happened.
One of the words that you just said was exonerated, and Dr. Vassar said that she felt as a board they were, and then you brought up Mr. Dennis Deno.
Yeah, he didn't even give his phone to the investigators. So how are you exonerated? I mean, exonerated is a very strong word, and it's a very precise word. So to say that was a mischaracterization of what the report actually said. The other part of that was really, hard for me was that these statements were made before the report was even made public. So even if I wanted to defend myself, I couldn't because I didn't have the report myself. So that opened me up to even more criticism, ridicule, bullying, and that kind of thing.
That was going to be one of my questions as far as how has this, it's been a little over a year, and how has your life changed as far as getting out with your message and doing how have you been harmed in any way?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my life has completely changed. I've been unemployed since my name got leaked. I haven't done any work. In addition to just people not hiring me anymore, my reputation has been destroyed. People, there are people who question my credibility, my involvement supposedly with Mel Tucker, which was nothing. There was no romantic relationship there, but there's just been so many things that have been said about me to just really assassinate my character overall. It's been really hard. It's completely decimated my life, I think is a good word.
Because you yourself are a victim of sexual assault, and then you were trying to be someone that was, educating, and then to be a victim again.
Yeah, and I think that's the part that I feel like is being lost in all of this, is that I'm a survivor of a brutal gang rape. And I came forward 16 years after it happened in 2014. I found the courage to go public, and then I tried to take that trauma and turn it into something good and use it to help other people. And I spent nearly a decade in a career of mostly working with men, traveling the country. I worked at over 100 different campuses. I worked with over 50,000 young men, including coaches. So the idea that this wasn't predatory on the part of Tucker really bothers me. I mean, he brought me in to educate his players and staff on sexual violence and sexual misconduct, and then did that to me. To me, it's almost unbelievable that somebody would have, I don't even know if the word audacity is the right word. It's just, it's predatory. I don't know what else to call it other than that. But you brought me in and then did the same thing to me that you brought me in for.
You can't really change what happened, but going forward, is there anything you would do differently?
No. No. I wouldn't do anything differently because I didn't do anything wrong. And I think that's the point that I really want people to understand. Like, stop asking me questions and vilifying me and blaming me. Ask him why he did this. We're here today because of his actions and his actions alone. He made choices. He didn't have to do what he did. He put me in a position where I had a decision to make of whether to report him or not, and I reported him. And I've suffered the consequences, obviously, of reporting and of his actions, which I think is really unfair. There's a clear victim and a clear perpetrator in this case to me, and I just don't know that enough people understand really what happened.
Do you think in your message to the Board of Trustees that they understand now, a year later?
I hope so. I hope that they understand that they have the ability to help or harm, and that for me, they harmed me. And that's not okay. And I certainly am not here to speak on behalf of other survivors. I'm here to speak on behalf of myself. But I was harmed in the process, and it wasn't necessary. It didn't have to happen.
And so what is next now? What is next for you? It's been a year.
Yeah, and I know for some people that seems like a long time, but for me, all of this is still very raw and real. I've only just been able recently to even speak publicly, which is very different from what I'm used to. But right now I'm just focusing on the lawsuit against Tucker for defamation and healing therapy, really trying to just kind of deal with all of the mental and emotional aspects of like my health and the fallout from all of this right now, and trying to kind of just regain my footing again. It's going to be a long road, but I'm dedicated to getting past this and getting to the other side.
Because one of the things that I hear in interviewing victims of any kind of sexual assault is the fear of coming forward. And then when you witness.
Oh, and absolutely. I mean, it's very scary coming forward, and there's good reason to be scared coming forward. I mean, I didn't do anything wrong, and yet I've lost so much. Like I said, I'm bearing and dealing with the consequences of his actions. And that's not fair. And there are consequences to reporting. And until we as a society decide to make it safe for people to report and believe survivors and help them to navigate these processes, I don't know why anybody would want to report. I can't say that I would go to another survivor and say, yeah, go report, it's great. Mm-hmm. My life has been destroyed. It's hard for me to advocate to report, but if I had to go back, I would do it again though. I mean, that's who I am. And I've done so much work as an advocate, and I think a lot of times there was moments through this process where I thought, are you who you say you are? Right? During this decade-long career, are you who you say you are? And are you being who you've asked other people to be, to stand up and be courageous? And I feel like I have been true to myself through this process.
I've heard you say that before. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What if you did have the chance to say something to Mel Tucker a year later? What would you say to him?
Nothing. Mm-hmm. I don't have anything to say to him. He's made his decisions, and he is who he is. Nothing. I don't have anything to say to him.
Mm-hmm. And your message to the Board of Trustees, you're hoping, is there going to be a follow-up? Did you schedule anything like that with them?
No, there's nothing scheduled with them right now. But, who knows? Sometimes, you have these interviews and these things happen and people get to talking, and who knows? My stance has always been that I want to help and not harm. Even institutions, if I'm in a situation where I have to hold somebody accountable, the advocate and educator in me still wants to help. So who knows? I don't know exactly how that will go with MSU, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Last question. How is your heart? How's your heart doing through all of this?
Sorry. Nobody really asks me that much in these interviews. Mm-hmm. I just do the best I can one day at a time. My heart is not okay. But I'm getting up every day and doing the best I can, and I feel like that's a big win for me right now.
Very good. Well, we appreciate you talking with us and sharing your story.
Thank you.